Since 1986, we've been conducting candidates night for the Blair Bedford Central Labor Council, and we try to offer an opportunity for everybody to come out, no matter what your affiliation, and we expect that when you speak, you'll make the comments in general about your candidacy. Please, no personal comments about any incumbent or ex-incumbent or anything of the nature. And we would appreciate you sticking to your 3 minutes. Your 3 minutes tells us what you're all about. And then for each particular race, there's a common question that you'll answer at the end of your 3 minutes. There is a timekeeper here. He'll give you a friendly ring of the bell when you exceed your time limit. Hopefully you won't, because this is being taped for the Access channel. And we'll try to condense it so that we can work this into an hour's program. There is cold beverages up here, and you're welcome to them. And we will begin with judges of Blair County. Nate, if you would. And this is in the order that you responded to our letter. So the first one this evening will be Dave Consiglio. And the common question, David, is what would you say is your biggest challenge when it relates to crime in Blair County?
Let's start with the common question.
Your presentation and then the common question.
Very good. Thank you. Appreciate the invitation, appreciate the opportunity to be here and to speak with all of you. As stated, my name's Dave Consiglio. I'm running for Blair County Judge. I want to start out by telling you, as he said, all about myself, and where it starts is here. I was born and raised in Altoona and Hollidaysburg. My father happens to be here tonight. One of my sisters is here. We have been in this community for generations, and I have been here myself my entire life, with the exception of my schooling at Notre Dame in North Carolina. Before I went to those places, I got my first job here in Altoona down at a store called David Weiss as a stock boy. Some of you may be old enough to remember David Weiss. And from that time forward, I continued to work various jobs, restaurant jobs, pizza jobs, even a little bit of construction. And what I think that I learned from those formative labor years was what I call Blair County values, which have been steeped in our family for decades and generations. And those values are respect for others, love and respect for God, faith, family, tradition, belief in hard work, belief in law and order. I'm pleased and proud to indicate to you that I have the support of the 4 police unions, FOPs, that operate in this county. And maybe most of all, a sense of fairness and reasonableness is what I think that I gained from those years. When I did go to law school and we moved back home, I believe that I have taken those values and I have brought them with me to my legal career, which at this point has spanned 29 years, each and every one of them spent as a member of the Blair County Bar Association. I've been in that association and I've been all over this state practicing law in various courts. I have also practiced many kinds of law throughout my career, including labor and employment law. And we're not a big firm, and I'm not a big firm or a big city type of person, so I've been fortunate to have represented both employers and employees. And I think that the way that I've been able to do that successfully is because of the fairness that I talked about earlier and what I've learned. I have trust on both sides of issues. If elected to the Blair County bench, what I pledge to do is to bring that sense of fairness, bring those Blair County values, and bring hard work to the bench, because I believe that those values are the ones that will do the most for the people of this county. For the common question, the biggest problem facing crime, we see statistics, We see crime on the rise. We see violence on the rise. I fundamentally believe that the problem with crime is the culture that we are living in. I think unless you have a solid familial foundation and you believe in the values that are taught by not only our Constitution and our Declaration, but also in our families and churches, you're going to have individuals that do wrong. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we will have Fred Miller.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity and invitation to come here this evening. As he indicated, I'm Fred Miller. I currently serve as the district judge in Northern Blair County. I've been in office for 21 years. I come this June. Like Dave, I'm born and raised from Blair County. My family, the last several generations, have been educators and teachers in Blair County, and my wife's family, with Imlers, has also dedicated their careers to further their business as well as to support the community. And Blair County is a place, when I got out of law school, I had an opportunity to go to Harrisburg, Pittsburgh, and Philly, and I wanted to come back to Blair County. This is where I wanted to be, to raise a family, have my career, and this is where I've settled. I live right outside in the Altoona section of Sinking Valley, and I've spent my entire life and career here, and I'm dedicated to Blair County and serving the community. Some of the things I've done since I've been in office: I've worked since I took office on the first day to cut expenses. It's a fair statement to say I've saved well over $100,000+, probably significantly more than that, to the taxpayers of Blair County. I worked with my other fellow district judges to create the booking center, which has benefited the community by getting cops, police back on the street sooner to protect our community. And that was done at a zero cost to the taxpayers. That's completely funded by the people coming through the court system. Another thing I've been proud of is I had an opportunity to work with Judge Sullivan, CYF, and all of the Blair County superintendents to address the truancy issues in Blair County and help to establish a truancy court. And that's something I pledge if I'm elected. I look forward to reestablishing that truancy court to move forward. That's been a hot button issue with the chamber as far as for attendance, the business community, and that affects us all. Like Dave Consiglio, I've been fortunate to be endorsed by all the FOPs in Blair County. Additionally, I've also been endorsed by the Hollingsburg Borough Police Association, Bellwood Annis School District Police, Tyrone School District Police, Tyrone Borough, and Bellwood Borough Police as well. And I'm also honored this time I've also received the endorsement from the Teamsters Local 8, which represents over 2,600 working men and women throughout the Penn State campuses, 20 Commonwealth campuses in Pennsylvania. And I'm also privileged that we've been endorsed by the Teamsters Local number 110 out of Evansburg, which also represents the officers in Tyrone Borough, Bellwood Borough, Greenfield Township, as well as New Enterprise, Stone and Lime, U.S. Foods, UPS, and Tri-State Industrial in Blair County. One of the things is, as I stand here and I look and pursue the position the Court of Common Pleas is, I have a 21-year proven track record. And I tell people, when you go out, if it's a small community, if you know a law enforcement officer and they've endorsed me, ask them why they're endorsing it. I'm proud that the endorsement I received, and I received those over my 21 years in office, that is based on my track record. As far as for the question, real quick, with crime, the biggest things facing for crime in Blair County are mental health and drug and alcohol issues. A recent article in USA Today indicated 2/3 of the parents, I'm one of them, 14-year-old kid, are concerned about the safety in our schools. On top of that, the rate for children that are killed at home as a result of domestic violence is significantly higher. Neither one of those figures is acceptable. When we're turning over 40% of the Court of Common Pleas, that's why judicial experience matters, and that's why I'm running. So I appreciate your time and your consideration on Election Day. Thank you.
Next, we will have Joel Seeley.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation. My name is Joel Seeley, and I'm asking all of you for your vote for Blair County Court of Common Pleas on May 16th. Unlike the other two candidates, I was not born in Blair County. My wife and I decided to move here, and we've decided to raise our family here. In an attempt to keep the 3-minute allotment and noting the number of candidates we have here tonight, I'd like to share why I believe I'm not only a good choice for the position, but I'm the right choice for the position. My wife and I have lived here in Blair County, worked here, actively volunteered for many years. This is where we raise our 4 children, and ensuring a safe community for my children and your children is of the utmost importance to me. We both find giving back to our community is something that we find very valuable through volunteering our time and talents to many community organizations. I proudly serve on boards to many local nonprofit organizations here in Blair County. My volunteer service to these organizations did not start when I began running for office. Instead, I've been a long-standing commitments to better our community by giving my time to them. While I've practiced all over the Commonwealth, including in state and federal courts, I've spent my entire legal career right here in Blair County. As a judge, I'll bring this legal experience and local understanding to the bench to best serve the residents of Blair County. I appear before the Blair County Court of Common Pleas as a litigation attorney weekly, many times daily, for a wide variety of legal matters. My areas of practice and concentration closely mirror the areas that are most often before the judges of the Court of Common Pleas. I'm excited to bring these years of relevant experience and broad-based legal experience and the dedication to our community to the bench. Protecting Blair County families and upholding their constitutional rights have always been a top priority to me as an attorney working in this county. This is why I'm so honored to have the endorsement of both of Blair County's top law enforcement officers, District Attorney Pete Weeks and Sheriff Jim Ott, and the endorsement of local police officers at Bald Eagle Fraternal Order of Police, Lodge 51. I'm honored to have their support and their endorsement. The support of these community leaders and many other community leaders is why I've decided to run for judge. I want to give back to this community by serving with integrity and working hard to efficiently administer justice. I'm a candidate ready to make these tough decisions. Tough but fair, I want to serve and protect our community, businesses, and families through service as your next judge. Today, I'm asking for your voices and votes, your voices of support to family, friends, colleagues, and the community of Blair County. I believe that with my years of experience in the Court of Common Pleas of Blair County and all over the state, litigating cases of businesses, family members, and in addition to that, representing individuals in the justice system throughout the entire state would provide me the experience necessary. The question, I actually agree with Judge Miller. I believe that the mental health correlation between mental health and the criminal justice system is one that we have to recognize. Right now, many of our mental health facilities are being closed down, which forces these individuals to go into the jails to provide mental health treatment. It's unfortunate that that's the reality of our community, but that is something that we have to face. As a judge, we have to balance the need of those individuals that go into incarceration to be able to get the mental health treatment that they need. Thank you.
Thank you. And in between candidates, if anybody that came in late would like something cold, we have it up front here. Next, we'll move on to the Blair County Commissioners race. And the question that you want to keep in mind for when you come up after your deliberation is there are 6 bargaining units within Blair County government. Do you feel as a commissioner you can fairly deal with these unions during contract talks and throughout the years of your term? First person that responded to us was David Kessling.
I want to thank everybody for attending tonight and being involved in your community. My name is David Kessling. I'm running for Blair County Commissioner. People ask me why. Simply put, a life of service. I've served all my life, and I'm not done. I'm retired. I can devote 100% of my time to this office. For over 36 years, I've served my country, my community in the following roles. I've served and honorably discharged from the United States Air Force and in the reserves. I've served as Pennsylvania Department of Wildlife Conservation Officer, volunteer firefighter, and rescue diver. Spent 24 years in the Pennsylvania Department of Corrections. I started out as a corrections officer and worked my way through as a sergeant, lieutenant, captain, major, and deputy superintendent. At that time, we were managing a budget well over $50 million. As a special teams coordinator, which meant we oversaw all the tactical teams in the state of Pennsylvania. I was the chief of security for the Pennsylvania Department of Corrections, which meant I oversaw all the security needs in the Pennsylvania Department of Corrections. I've been a warden at 3 county correctional facilities. Those budgets range between $4 and $10 million. Been a deputy sheriff in Blair County and Clearfield County. I'm still currently an active law enforcement officer. I have the following endorsements: former Senator and Commissioner John Eichelberger, Pete Weeks, Blair County DA, Rich Consiglio, former Blair County District Attorney, Ryan Sayers, Clearfield District Attorney, David Christine, Monroe County District Attorney, Jim Ott, Sheriff, Sheriff Mike Turner, Clearfield County, Mitch Cooper, former Altoona Deputy Chief, Blair County Sheriff, Richard Brantner, retired police chief and current mayor of Martinsburg. I also have and blessed to have the FOP Mountain Lodge 8, FOP Mountain Lodge 51, and FOP 57 endorsements. I am pro-life, I'm pro-Second Amendment, and I'm pro-taxpayer. I have participated and reviewed labor, service, construction, and maintenance contracts, written policies and procedures in state and county levels. I've prepared and defended budgets at the state and county level. I've participated in labor negotiations with various state and county unions to negotiate contracts, participate in grievance hearings, mediations, and arbitrations. I believe if you're elected, you work for and answerable to the people. Taxpayers have a right to know how their dollars are being spent. I also believe in transparency. Everyone should have access to a commissioner. Support and engage county department heads and not leave them out of the conversation. My 5-point agenda: review all contracts, prevent government waste and duplication, create a 10-year blueprint to review maintenance and upgrade needs of county-owned property, work with business leaders to support economic development to grow our tax base, improve services to taxpayers by recruiting, retaining the best public servants, survey county employees for ways to make government more efficient and effective for you as the taxpayer. As far as the question, I think I've already answered it in this. For 36 years, I've dealt with unions. 36 years, I've negotiated contracts. 36 years I've been in mediation. 36 years I've been in arbitration. I've sat down with unions at the state level and the county level to negotiate contracts, and I would continue to do that. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, sir. Next, we'll have Laura Burke.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm Laura Burke. I am currently a county commissioner. When I ran for county commissioner in 2019, my slogan was Fresh Perspective. I lived up to that motto by not accepting "this is the way we've always done it" as the answer to any question. I was lucky to be supported by staff in the commissioner's office who saw the value in changing things in ways that would make them better. I pushed my fellow commissioners out of their comfort zone in some instances, particularly when it came to working with SEIU to try to address our staffing shortages in CYF. I don't know if any other commissioner in history was hands-on in the way that I was when we had no staff in the tax claim office or when our CYF administrator quit without notice. And I'm not saying those were ideal situations or that I did everything perfectly, but I was willing to learn what I needed to do and what I had to do to keep services to the public running, and in particular in CYF to support our employees. Beyond the technical knowledge you need to be effective as a commissioner, you have to strike a delicate balance. You have to keep your department heads happy, your fellow commissioners happy, members of the public happy, the row officers happy, and the employees happy. You're often put in the role of mediator, trying to resolve conflict while following the law and keeping liability and costs low, and giving everyone what they need, if not exactly what they want. Understanding your role and legal obligations are half the battle, and working effectively with people is the other half. Over the last 3 years, I've proved that I can do both. This benefits the working people of Blair County, not just because it improves the culture and work environment for our 500 employees when we're fully staffed, but because it allows us to provide better services to you, the public. What I learned in 2020 was that what you see at public meetings is only about 10% of what you have to do. There's a tremendous amount of work and thought behind every action you see taken in public. And having been through 3 budgets, multiple election cycles on the Board of Elections, bargaining with all of our units, and through scores of liaison meetings with our department heads, my experience and knowledge of the way we work helps me be effective and took time to develop. While continuing to evolve and improve is essential to good leadership, experience also matters. I'm committed to being open to change and working with our employees, not against them, to move our county forward while bringing my experience as a commissioner to the table. My reelection would help us maintain the stability and institutional knowledge needed to keep the county running smoothly as we transition to a new board. In terms of bargaining fairly with our 6 units. I think that's something that we've worked hard as a board, I think through COVID. It was definitely an eye-opening experience. Some of the extra challenges that came along with those contracts, trying to address, the extremes of inflation and our staffing shortages in the union context. Those were challenges and things we hadn't really had to do before. I've always encouraged my board to try to come to a good resolution and approach with the union and be open to new ideas and ways of doing things. And I think we try to work together with the unions to come to something that'll work for everyone.
Thank you. Next, we'll have Carol Taylor.
Thank you all for coming tonight. My name is Carol Taylor. Some of you may recognize me from the race for the state senate. And I thought I'd take a vacation, but apparently I gave it a second thought. I am here tonight running for commissioner, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about my background. It's a little different from what you've heard previously. I grew up in a small town, not here in Blair County. My dad was a machinist. My mother worked in the office. I was the first person to go to law school. I was the first person to ever get a degree in college, and I did it by working my way through both of those venues. Doing odd jobs, working at various places, businesses, working at the university. I did everything I could, got the law degree. I practiced law for about 20-something years. During that time, I did represent both in small business, I represent employees, I did a medical device practice, I was a trial lawyer. I did court-appointed cases, everything from small business to Third Circuit cases, Fifth Circuit cases, Delaware Supreme Court. So I had a lot of trial experience. I came here to this area with a fresh start in mind, decided to change my career. And I focused at first on education. That's something I've done in the past, educating other lawyers and doing seminars on various subjects, including labor law, products liability, personal injury, agreements, contracts, that kind of thing. And so when I came here, I went into education. So I taught in the schools for 3 years, both the high school as a substitute teacher, junior high school, in 3 different school districts. So I got a real taste of what the needs are of our students here and our educational community as well. An opportunity came up to be a counselor in the addictions field, and I took it. With my background in criminal justice, because that's what my degree is in criminal justice, and my understanding of the problems that we're facing both in the educational system and in our communities, I wanted to serve on the front lines of the problem. Our mental health problem, our drug addiction problem, the problems in our communities, the strain it causes on the criminal justice system, the strain that it causes on our prisons, how it tears apart families, and the loss of life. I have been on the front lines of this battle for the past 4 years. I understand only too well how difficult it is. and I do understand what needs to be done. I decided to run for commissioner to be of service to this community with real-world experience and a background in law to do what I can. As for the question, I have experience in negotiating contracts, both on parts of small business and larger firms. I also deal with employees. I am very good at mediating. I was a court-appointed mediator in many cases when I was still practicing. So, an understanding of contracts, understanding of the needs of the community, and a background in mediation could serve me well in this position, and I hope to serve in it. Thank you.
Next, we'll call upon Manny Nichols.
I just want to thank everybody for having me here and give you, I'm running for Blair County Commissioner, but to give you a little background on me, we have an environmental business of 35 years. We clean up environmental disasters, contain deadly viruses and bacteria, trauma scene cleanup, just about everything environmental we do. There's 0 companies that do what I do in Blair County. There's 0 companies that do what I do in Bedford, Cambria, Huntington. And I think that's going to be a major problem moving forward with the skills, you know, the trade skills. But I'm one that I can admit I was up to 40 employees in our heyday. So I know what the responsibilities are of keeping employees. We went through business, like I said, 35 years. I started with some yard sale tools, and I built a multi-million-dollar business from nothing. I didn't inherit nothing. I didn't get nothing. So that's a little bit of a background on me. I'm a firefighter of 25 years. I'm an acting Holdiesburg Area School District board member in my 4th year, and sort of why my hair's gray and I'm losing a little bit of it because it's been a tough time to be a school board director. I just want to let you know that I'll bring real world experience to Blair County. I can run excavators. I can do asbestos abatement, construction. We worked on $200 to $50 million contracts. So that's where I think I'll come in handy when it comes to Blair County. When I was all for the courthouse getting remodeled, but some of the contracts I seen, they paid 50, 60% over what they should have. People need to know what per square foot is to remove, per square foot to build. That's what I'll bring as a commissioner. If it's an excavating job, we rehabilitate streams monthly. So all the grants, I'll know exactly what the going price is. The Blair County won't make contractors millionaires every one they award. So that's what I'll bring. I hope I get a chance to do it. Work ethic to me is 10 to 12 hours a day. I work a lot of times, 7 days a week. I fully intend to retire if I get this position and my family's going to take over. So it'll be a full-time job for me. And as far as the negotiations, I just finished up 6 contracts recently. We even have a contract for confidential secretaries at the school district. And I am proud to say, when I got in that school district, they were all at a level or below surrounding school districts in pay. Now, every single one of them contracts are at or above anybody in around here in school districts. Our teachers are the highest paid. And I'm proud to say I voted every single time for a raise for all them people. Thank you. I appreciate your vote in May.
And next will be Scott Barger.
Evening, folks. It is a privilege to be here. My name is Scott Barger. I'm running for Blair County Commissioner. I have enjoyed almost all of the experience of running for local office. I didn't realize how big Blair County was until I had to drive all over the county every day. I've met a lot of people and I've learned a lot of things. I wanted to share some of the things I learned with you this evening, and then I'll talk a little bit about my background and why I think I'm a good choice for commissioner. What I've learned is that even though there are people from all different political persuasions and cultural backgrounds, the people in Blair County, for the most part, we want the same things. We want a healthier economy where there's better jobs. We want good education for our children. We want honest and efficient government. We want safer neighborhoods. We want problems to be fixed by people who know what they're doing. Really, we want brighter future for our children. We all want the same thing. Where we're different is how we think we ought to get there, right? And that, I think, is where the role of an elected official like a county commissioner comes in and is pretty important, because we're the ones that to try to decide what is the best way to get from where we are to where we all want to be, okay? Before I was here, I spent a lot of my years doing ministry. I was a pastor for 15 years, and that was an eye-opening experience. I worked in inner city ministries where I had to work alongside with and figure out how to help people who were wrestling with drug addiction or suffering from the ongoing effects of generational poverty. These kind of problems don't have easy solutions. There's typically not one solution to any of these problems. You have to be able to listen and learn and work and understand before you can go into a situation where there is severe poverty or severe violence and make a difference in those communities. And I was happy to have done that. It was a good experience for me, and I think it taught me a lot of things that will make me a skilled commissioner. Among them are these, just a couple. I do think I have a work ethic, but not just working hard, working smart. I've got a passion for learning. I want to understand the problems before I open my mouth and give you a solution for a problem that I don't completely understand. I'm committed to that. I'm skilled at resolving conflict. That came from years of being a pastor. You don't have to sit across the table from two fighting spouses many times in a row before you start to learn how to negotiate conflict. I'm skilled, I believe, at finding reasonable solutions that we can all live with. You know, sometimes the solutions aren't easy, but they should be reasonable. They should be ethical, and it should be something that we can all live with. And I do have a passion for communicating effectively. I think the county could be served by commissioners who do a good job, a better job of explaining the problems to the people who live here so that we, who are all on the same team, by the way, can come together and come up with solutions that serve us well. The question that you've asked the commissioners, thank you, is can I negotiate with the different unions that are represented in county government? I believe so, and this is how I will do it. I will listen. I will understand. In all of my years of working in business, my years of working as a pastor, never once did I change someone's mind without first understanding them. Never once did I broker a resolution or a conflict resolution without first understanding the other side. And that's what I promise to do in those kind of situations. Understand and then make decisions. I appreciate your consideration for your vote this coming May 16th, and you have a good evening.
I'm not certain, but I don't believe our final candidate is here tonight. Amy Webster? Unfortunately, she did not make it. So next, we will move into the mayor of the city of Altoona, and the first one to have responded was Matt Pacifico.
Good evening, everybody. As I said on the first day that I announced I was running for mayor, I love Altoona. 8 years ago, I stood before you with a vision for our city, one that would involve a coalition of people devoted to growing and building Altoona for the future. Our priorities have been clear: to redevelop our downtown, encourage economic growth, fight blight, support our employees, and create an environment full of opportunities that would afford families and working professionals a chance to continue to call Altoona home. My past 7 years serving as your mayor was never about me. It was about us, working together as a team. It was about taking an approach that works for everyone. It was about building a city that represents everyone. I feel we have accomplished much of this agenda, but there's still more work to do, and that's why I'm seeking re-election to a third and final term. We have so much opportunity, so much potential, so much responsibility, and the forward momentum has never been better. Over the past 5 years, our city has literally come alive once again. More than 60 development projects totaling $76 million in new investments have created more than 450 new jobs. And when you total all the private investments since the start of my tenure, that amount swells to over $200 million. Especially when factoring in projects like the new Greystone Grand Palazzo and its proposed future development. Take a look at our downtown business district. The streets are once again busy with people, whether they're taking in some beverages at one of our new breweries, enjoying a meal at J.J. Hadley's, stopping for coffee at the Clay Cup, or going to work in the new Curry building. And then there are other projects like the Mill, several new eateries and coffee shops, and 4 new hotels, including the first one in downtown Altoona in more than 30 years. Proposed new developments, including the rehabilitation of the former McCrory Building, Mama Randazzo's on Juniata's Main Street, and Penn Central Place will only add to the atmosphere, and I look forward to supporting these endeavors and being a champion for their success. So where do we go from here? We will continue to invest in our city parks and recreational opportunities, including a commitment to ensure Prospect Pool reopens and remains a vital resource for our community. We also look forward to the opening of the city's first all-inclusive, sensory-friendly park. We'll continue to build upon our positive working relationship with our partners ABCD Corp., the Altoona Area School District, and our local, county, state, and federal elected officials. Investing in new housing remains a top priority so we can provide opportunities for our young people so they can build a family and call Altoona home for the long term. And we'll continue to encourage further commercial and residential redevelopment and rehabilitation by utilizing the city's new Local Economic Revitalization Tax Assistance Program, or LRTA, which provides all commercial and residential property owners a 5-year tax incentive to invest in their properties. As you can tell, it's an aggressive agenda, but together, working with my colleagues, we have the experience and the willingness to think big and push harder to get these things done. It's what we've already been doing for the past 7 years. This really is a team effort, and I'm ready to continue building upon the accomplishments that we've achieved. Thank you.
My apologies. I forgot to ask the common question for the mayor candidates. What do you consider your most favorable asset in dealing with the rest of the state of Pennsylvania? Years ago, when we changed the form of government, the mayor's office became an ambassador's job as well. So I'd like to hear from you as how you feel about your strongest asset as being that ambassador.
So I've really embraced the responsibility and the role of being able to essentially lobby on behalf of the citizens of Altoona and the city of Altoona in Harrisburg and DC. And I truly believe that my networking skills are probably my best asset to be able to build those relationships, make those connections, and yeah, thank you.
Next, we have Brent Gieselman.
Oh my goodness. Hello, everybody. This is a big crowd. So this is my 3rd time running. I have ran for Altoona City Council, the state representative of 79th District, and now I'm running for Altoona City Mayor. So a little bit about myself. My educational background is in business administration and also criminal justice. A big believer, and I haven't seen or heard of many things that approach these certain situations that I'm going to speak about today. I am not going to sit up here and give you a resume about myself. I am going to speak about what is truly important, and that is every single person in this room and every single person that lives within Altoona, Blair County itself. So how are we supposed to sit up here as elected officials or politicians in general if we don't pinpoint the things that are truly going on with our city? So, for example, our homeless. Senior citizens face it, veterans face it, children face it. And that is a big prime example of what are we doing for them? Are we just sitting back, or are we just letting things continuously fall apart? Altoona, if they had the appropriate positions in place, would have never fallen apart. We wouldn't have had to build it back up. But now here we are, and we have to. And that is where we rely on everybody. We don't disagree when it comes to the educational system of our children. We want better for them. We don't disagree when we don't want to see anybody homeless. We don't disagree when we want to see veterans doing better and not have a budget on their money, or senior citizens, or people in general, when we're all hardworking citizens. We don't have a disagreement on that. What we do have disagreements on is how we do improvise those plans in place to make our area better. And that is why I'm running for mayor, is because we need to see improvement. We need to make sure that, our taxes, that's a main cause in our city here. We need to lower those. Has anybody talked about that? Absolutely not. We're talking about expanding this, we're talking about expanding that, and it's just not going to work. You have to partner with your school board. You have to partner with your commissioners. You have to partner with your city councils. You all have to come together to make this area better. I don't see that happening. And it's something that we need to work on. So for me, the most important part is the safety of our children. Obviously, I sit up here and I see people saying I'm pro-life, I'm pro-choice, I'm anti-gun, I'm pro-gun. I don't really care. That is not going to be implemental things. That is not going to help our situations. Those are policies. Those are amendments. Those are certain things that, how are we supposed to be moving forward as a community where I don't really care about those things. I care about the people that actually live in this city. That's what makes it better. So if we continue to see people moving out of the city, when we keep declining in population, you wonder why they're moving out. It's because we're not working together. We continue to be self-absorbed. We continue to be disrespectful to people. Why does it matter? And for the question as an ambassador, so for me, I've done a lot of volunteer work. I've participated in Habitat for Humanity. I've participated in soup kitchens. I've really gotten out there in the community to where it really makes a difference. I'm not going to tell somebody to do something where I'm sitting behind closed doors and just pointing people to go out and do the work for me. That's not how it works. I'm not built upon money. I'm not built upon a name. I'm built upon actually who I am and a hardworking citizen, just like the rest of you. We're all normal. Money doesn't talk anymore. You need to get out there and do your job and be a part of the community to where we're all working together. Thank you.
Next, we will have Altoona City Council, and the first to respond was Jess Ickes. And the question, if elected to council, do you like the possibility of constructing a new prospect pool using American Recoveries Act monies before it goes away?
Good evening. I want to thank Mr. Kutz and the Blair Bedford AFL-CIO for supporting tonight's forum. I want to also take this time to thank my wife, Nicole, who has supported me in this journey to run and serve our community. I love you. I'm Jesse Ickes. My wife and I have 3 children, Samuel, Timothy, and Elizabeth. I'm a small business owner of a financial planning and advising firm, and for the past 4 years, I've had the privilege of serving as a member of City Council. I'll always be thankful to the citizens that instilled their trust and confidence in me at 24 to be part of our city's government. Growing up, I was raised by both of my mother and father, both of whom were represented by SEIU for 36 years. I saw my parents being dedicated to their work and advocating for their members. My father served as a steward and a member of the negotiating committee during his time with SEIU. The City of Altoona has 5 collective bargaining units. FOP, IAFF, and ASME represents the other 3. I can say I have developed a working relationship with our represented bargaining units, one of which we recently worked together to mend a more amicable relationship. Of that, I'm very thankful. What you can expect from me as a member of City Council is responsibleness and reasonableness. You won't find me participating in gaslighting politics on a national level. If that's your hope for a councilman, I'm not your pick. Our responsibility as local government is to provide public safety, infrastructure improvements, and making our community a place where working families want to live. About 2 years ago, our city received close to $40 million from the American Rescue Plan. We are well underway in using these funds to upgrade our outdated stormwater and infrastructure needs. We have put together a revolving loan program, which is an effort to help businesses within the city expand and in some instances to attract new investment opportunity. I'm passionate about improving our housing stock needs. For new families to call Altoona home, we must be aggressive in pursuing this. And I'm proud to stand here tonight and say that several plans are currently underway in this city. During my time on council, we have worked to enhance our code enforcement efforts, particularly regarding absentee landlords who have taken advantage of those who are in the most need in our community. In closing, I thank you for your time and consideration. Our city faces many challenges, many of which have been in existence for several decades. I will continue to be an advocate for responsible problem solving and moving our city forward. I ask for your vote on May 16th. Thank you, and may God bless you this evening. Regarding Prospect Pool, I'm proud to say that council came together and put together a plan with a subcommittee that I believe is going to maintain the viability of Prospect Pool being a part of this community. And I find it to be important maintaining up here on Dutch Hill an asset in this community. So the aspect of us improving that infrastructure here will be paramount in my involvement in using American Rescue Plan dollars. Thank you.
Next, we have Mike Leonard.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Mike Leonard. I'm running for Altoona City Council. So I started my career in the late 90s as a truck driver. I did long-haul trucking, flatbed work. I moved over to W.S. Lee, worked there for a bit, moved into management. I was up at UMF Medical. I did international and domestic logistics for UMF Medical, which supplied medical beds and such. For the last 10 years, I've been at Altoona Pipe and Steel. I'm currently the Vice President of Safety. I started Altoona Pipe and Steel as a loader. I worked nights in an unheated, unair-conditioned building loading very dirty steel, and then I'd go out the next day and deliver it. I moved my way up through the company. I started off as a shop supervisor, foreman, moved up into the safety position, and then just as of last year, I got promoted to vice president. We have over 100 employees. We have 4 buildings in 2 different states. I'm in charge of all OSHA, Federal Motor Carrier, EPA regulations. And we also are a union company. I'm proud to say that our employees are some of the best paid employees in the area that are non-medical. UPMC pays a good bit. So I know what it takes for a good union company to negotiate with their employees to make sure that they want to stick around, make sure they have good benefits, make sure they get their annual pay raises. I know what it's like to be grieved personally and to get through those grievance processes, because it's all about working together. I very much like what Scott said when he said that we're all pretty much in this for the same reason. We all want what's best for our community. We just have different methods of wanting to get there. And that's what I think we need to do with local politics, is get the national stuff out of it and worry about what we're going to do for the people that live here every day. I appreciate the good things the city council and the mayor's office has done up to this point, and they have made some improvements, but I do believe there's other areas that they could focus. I do believe that until you've actually been down in the dirt, until you've actually lived in the poverty, until you've actually had to scrounge for paychecks and meals, you don't know what it's like for a lot of people that live in this community. We're about 25% below the poverty line. There's a lot of people here that they just can't get by, and they don't care about the politics. They're just trying to figure out how they're going to get by the next day. So I want to be their voice. I want to work for them. I want to get simple stuff done. I want to get sidewalks fixed so people can walk to school and walk to work. I want better infrastructure for alleyways, because people park in the alleys, and we don't have any kind of winter maintenance to take care of those people, elderly people that have to park behind their houses. There's a lot of stuff I think we can do, and I'm not going to be able to get it all in 3 minutes. As far as the pool goes, being that I am in management, it's a cost-benefit analysis. I can't sit here and say that I'd prefer to build a new one, because it depends what it's going to cost to keep the old one running and what the long-term expense is going to be for that. So I would like to see a new one, someplace maybe with a little better parking, but at the same time, that's a great area. I'm fighting with city council right now so that we can rent it for my grandson's birthday party. So because it is a good time to up there and have that area. So whatever we do, I appreciate, and I thank you for your vote.
Next, we have Joseph Zolna.
First of all, I want to thank you all for coming out here this evening. I also want to thank the at-home viewers. I'm Joseph Zona, longtime Altoona City resident. I'm currently an investment executive advisor for an Indiana-based bank. I'm also president of the Central Pennsylvania Humane Society, a dad, and candidate for Altoona City Council. I want to take a moment to thank our first responders for their quick actions last week with regards to the school issue. I'm thankful that that turned out to be just a hoax, but one thing that it proved is the local law enforcement and first responders' ability to provide protection to us. That is something extremely important to me. One of those things is I want to protect their interests on council as well. I find it important that they are appreciated to the best of our ability. I felt a calling to get involved in public service this year. I hold Altoona near and dear to my heart. Ignoring the numerous problems plaguing our city would be a disservice to everybody within this city. This area has a lot of potential with the possibility of a bright future ahead, and I would like to help build that future. As someone who values beautifying our city, I find it imperative that our council implement simplified solutions to the blighted properties and increase the value of our neighborhoods, working closely between municipal government and citizens. I believe our hard-working residents deserve to enjoy the fruits of their labor, namely their real estate, and tackling blight would greatly improve those values. I strongly believe that local government requires a hands-on approach and should actively work with the citizens to better those surroundings. In addition to this, our city faces a housing stock issue. With remote work having established itself in these last couple years, and now the growth with the businesses coming into our area, it's absolutely important that we start to develop our housing stock and build it up as quick as possible. And I want to make that a more simplified process for those willing to put that investment into our community. We need to increase our tax base by doing so. Too many people over the last few decades have left and caused a decline in our population, and we need to stop that bleed and decline now. Our youth, I find it appalling at how easily accessible drugs and alcohol have come to them. The community needs to work together to educate and intervene in the lives of our students to help curb the drug epidemic in this area. As a father of a high schooler, I know the impacts of poor prevention methods regarding drug abuse in school. I will fight for better municipal resources to aid in crisis prevention and mental health resources within city government. Lastly, Altoona needs to grow our city by advocating policies that will continue to attract people and businesses. I want to thank you all real quick for this, and I'd appreciate your vote on May 16th. As far as Prospect Pool, I believe that the pool is in a great location where it is right now. I think with the funds that we have received, that just upgrading and improving that pool would be a bigger benefit than rebuilding somewhere else and building something new. It's a great location here. I've spent a lot of time there. I volunteer with some of the summer camps for the kids, and it's really a wonderful park. Just needs a little bit of renovation work, and I think we can do that. Thank you all.
And our last candidate for City Council is Shelley Klinich.
Good evening, and thank you for this forum. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Shelley Klinich, and I am a mother, a grandmother, a businesswoman, and a small business owner. I'm running for Altoona City Council, and I have been asked by several people, why are you doing this? I was approached about 4 years ago to run, and I just didn't feel that it was the right time. So I was approached again last year and said, I will think about it. Throughout the year, several people approached me and encouraged me to run for City Council. After many sleepless nights, I knew I was to run for City Council. With over 37 years in the automotive industry and traveling thousands of miles throughout the Commonwealth and other surrounding states, I was seeing a common issue. A once thriving, beautiful city struck with blight, abandoned commercial buildings. Basically, they were decaying, and I could see that creeping into our area. I want to bring back the once thriving city, a city where people want to bring their business here. My desire to succeed and my willingness to learn has made me a successful businesswoman with strong negotiating skills to create a win-win solution for all concerned parties. My extensive financial background will allow me to give insight when entering into budget discussions. I am a member of the Blair County Chamber of Commerce and serve on the We Lead committee, as well as being a chamber ambassador. I am a member of the Altoona Sunrise Rotary Club, where I give back to the community by working at Sister Paula Soup Kitchen, the Altoona Mountain Lion Backpack program, the Hollidaysburg Women's Club, their food drive, and also I help with the maintenance of the Robert E. Law Memorial Site. I also serve on my church council. I want to give back and make a difference with a conservative, common sense approach and be a voice for the city residents. I will bring a fresh perspective and strengthen the current city council. Thank you for your time and consideration, and I look forward to serving you in the future. And as far as prospect pool, I believe that we would need to see how much money it takes to restore it versus building a new one. I think restoration, I was at a city council meeting and I heard them speak about that. So restoration would probably be the way to go. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And finally, we will go into the district magistrate race. And the first one to respond was Ben Jones. And the common question for magistrate, what is the biggest challenge for the inner city for a magistrate to cope with on a daily basis?
Good evening, and thank you all for coming. My name is Benjamin Jones. I want to thank the Labor Council for hosting this event. A little bit about myself is I am a retired Altoona Police Department lieutenant. I retired as lieutenant of Criminal Investigations Division. I actually started my career at Penn State University Police Department. Whenever I started the Altoona Police Department, like everyone else, I started as a patrol officer, answering calls for service. I worked my way up through the ranks from a corporal to sergeant, criminal investigator, ultimately retiring as a lieutenant in charge of the entire Criminal Investigations Division. During my time at the Altoona Police Department, I also served as a delegate for FOP Lodge number 8. I was eventually elected the vice president of the union and subsequently president of the union. Negotiated a couple contracts, worked on some grievances filed by the union against the city for various and sundry issues that came up during that time. I was elected to district judge in 2017. Since that time, my office has docketed 17,700 cases, believe it or not, in that small little office. Those cases are anything from homicide cases to things you heard about tonight, like blight, code enforcement court. We treat that as a specialty court. We're working with the city and with the citizens to fix the problem. My perspective of code enforcement court is we shouldn't be fining people if we don't have to. We should be using the money that they would pay that fine to fix the problem. It doesn't help anyone if they're paying a fine and they can't afford to fix their house. So we've come up with a great resolution between the Code Enforcement Office, The citizens that come in that are cited are very receptive to the way we handle things, and I think it's a win-win situation for the city. We also deal with truancy court. Truancy is one of the biggest issues with the Altoona Area School District right now. There's a lot of kids that just aren't going to school. It was really compounded by COVID. We had kids that were never missing school. COVID comes around, everybody's online. Next thing you know, they quit going to school whenever they go back. We've worked very hard with Patty Saka and the Altoona Area School District Police to get our kids. We're starting to see an increase in the attendance and a decrease in their truancy issues. So I'm very proud to work with the school district on that. I like to say that I use common sense whenever I apply the law. It's very important that you use your head. The law is black and white in a lot of different ways, but there's a lot of gray in the law as well. There's a lot that's subject to interpretation, and that's where my previous experience as a police officer and my years on the bench served me well. I'm proud to say that with my experience, I can tell you what I've done, not what I'm going to promise you I'm going to do. As for the question, the hardest thing that I deal with on a daily basis is seeing people struggle to pay their fines for past indiscretions. There's actually three different things. The truancy issue is a problem that's just a constant battle with the school district and code enforcement. I mean, the criminal stuff takes care of itself, but the code enforcement, the truancy, and the fines are very difficult things that we deal with every single day of the week. So I thank you all for your time, and I would appreciate your consideration May 16th.
And our final candidate tonight is Dustin Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Kutz, for the invitation tonight. I appreciate you guys all coming out, and more importantly, I appreciate your patience. It's been a long night. We've had a lot of good candidates come out of here. A lot of good information has been put in front of us, and there's a lot of decisions that have to be made on May 16th. As far as myself, I was not fortunate enough to be born in Blair County or Altoona. I was born in the Midwest, and I had the opportunity then to move to the West Coast before coming and finally settling here in Blair County. I did graduate from the area. I went to Hollidaysburg High School. I'm lucky enough to have a couple of my teachers in attendance tonight. But that diverse background is what makes me stand out a little bit. That's what makes me different. I was not your typical police officer, which I've been for the last 14 years. I consider myself a little bit ahead of the curve in that regard, where community relations and community service was always at the forefront. It's easy to go out and say someone broke the law, we need to arrest them and need to pay for it. That's all well and good, but what can we do to kind of prevent that? I've spent my time as a police officer, like I said, on the street, making visits to schools. I've made many talks there, talking with students, trying to get to the problem before it actually persists. I think one of the biggest problems that we have is a cycle of people that just come through. In my opinion, in my experience, we deal with the same people over and over again, and it's unfortunate. You find that it becomes a generational thing. Mom and dad used to get in trouble. They're having kids now, and their kids think that the only option that they have is to fall right in line with that. I would like to get out there like I have been as a police officer and try and hit those problems before they become that and before these kids start cycling the same way that their family members have. If I'm lucky enough to get elected to magisterial district judge, I will bring a compassion and understanding of those problems. Some of our county candidates touched on it tonight. Mental health is a very big crisis in here. Just identifying it becomes a struggle for many, many officers as well as other professionals that deal with it. You need to understand who you're dealing with and what problems they may be suffering from before you can actually address the crime that they may have committed. If you can dig deeper and understand that a little bit, I will use that to open up a conversation. I've found in my experience that once I'm able to do that, you develop a rapport with these individuals, you can touch them on a deeper level. You can actually get to the root of the problem and touch them so that they understand that there is other options for them. They don't have to continue this same cycle that they've seen, whether that's in their neighborhood, sometimes even in their own house. We all know that the drugs are a big problem. it falls along the same lines. Okay, that drugs are a big issue, but those fall in lines of mental health. Why are these people falling back and being so dependent on these narcotics? Well, they don't have any other options. At least they don't think that. I've used my contacts and my experience to let them know you may not see it on a day-to-day basis. It may not be in your house, but you do have other options. And in regards to the question, it's the same thing. I need to use that understanding and that rapport that I've built up with these individuals to speak to them so that they know they don't have to keep coming back to the judge to get fines or worse and have stricter penalties because of that. We need to open up the lines of communication, have a better understanding with these people, and I think that we can use that to better our community in the long run. Thank you.
Thank you very much to everyone that turned out tonight that's interested in the races, and especially the candidates. You know, you're putting your name out on the line, and you're taking a big opportunity to get elected. I would like to remind you of a sign-up sheet on the way out of this building for May the 6th up at Prospect Pool. Some of us Dutch Hill boys and girls are going to be up there cleaning the place up to help the kids. There's a small committee here in the city, and I'm proud to say I'm on it. And if you'd like to help, it's a 9 a.m. till a 2 p.m. thing, and lunch is provided by the Bavarian. So the sign-up sheet's on the door on the right on your way out. We'll take a 10-minute break here and then reform with our delegates and discuss endorsements. But feel free to have a drink here for a few moments and socialize, and we'll reconvene in 10 minutes.